the people that will get a copy of today's slides are the people, and the recording, again, in 24 hours, are the people who commented in the question box. Hey, yeah. I see a lot of people now finding that question box. That's awesome. And again, I'm sorry to have to hold that carrot up, but I want to make this customized for you, okay? Perfect. So I do see Nazareth here. Tamika's here also. Talani's here. Hello, Talani. We also have T. Edwards. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. In 24 hours, you'll get a copy because you've commented here. This is awesome. Thank you, Stephanie, so much. All right, this is who I am. I am a Google trainer, but I come with a really strong small business background, so that you know I've got 20 plus years in digital marketing. My background, my education, all my classes, my courses, my certifications are all in marketing, but I've practical hands-on experience in 20 plus years in the field, truly growing businesses from start all the way to that transition when you're ready to sell or transition to a family. And then I also have had 14 plus years in international e-commerce. And today we're truly delving into how you can establish yourself as a more credible business, because we do have to not just be visible, but also valid in front of our customers, because people do want to do business with the best. No matter what our budget is, we want to know that we're dealing with a professional. Now, just so that you know, when I say professional, even we freelancers and those who are consultants are still professionals. And if you've not heard of personal branding, well, you need to catch up, because personal branding is also important, and being able to name your domain names, and those reflect truly what you are, and making it easy for people to find you is truly important too. So knowing how to be able to dominate and be shown in search is so important. Thank you. I see you, Chris. I see you, Carolyn. Yes, hello to Lonnie. Welcome. Carolyn, how do we get a company name in front of my clients? Exactly, that's what we're going to answer today. So Carolyn, I'm glad you're asking. How you can actually establish that professional domain name, excuse me, your website and your email. I'm excited to share this with you, because this is all new. This is your first time to actually see this, so I'm very excited, and this is fresh new information that just became available within the last couple of weeks. This is who I am. Of course, you saw my photo there a moment ago, and that actually is a hint, is my son next to me, who is a Google photographer and travels with me. But this is how you can find me on Twitter, and you can also find me on Instagram if you want to connect with me on socials. Oh, I don't know why I went back. That's what I did. Here we go. So a domain name is super important, Carolyn, to get your business in front of people, and having that professional domain name is so valuable. Well, I'm a big fan of all the socials. Understand, I love socials, and that's where I got my start, was in social media. Back in 2008, when Facebook was just transitioning from .edu out to being able to and available to everybody else. So I'm a big fan of the socials, but I do know when you're looking and people are searching for you in search, there's a tremendous credibility when your domain name reflects your actual brand, or even your name, when they can search you by name. If you think about it, what a domain name is you have web hosting. So web hosting is kind of like the house. If you're thinking like a physical analogy, web hosting is the house, and the content on your website is the furniture. So that's the content on your website there. But your street address, that is your website address, and that is what people need to be able to easily find. So as you can see here, having a domain name really sets you up as a professional and serious about what you're doing in business. Much better when we look at Stacia's Bakery. If we look back here, Stacia's Bakery, it's a lot right here to try to find this with that long URL compared to just going to statiasbakery.com. And as we look at the email address, when we look at statiasbakery423@gmail, well, that's not as professional as saying stacia@statiasbakery.com. So are you set up that way, or do you have a .gmail or .something else that is your website, where you might be saying statiasbakery@hotmail.com, at yahoo.com, at AOL, at coxcable.com, .net, whatever it is? This gives you a little bit more credibility when you actually have that domain name. Plus, it makes you findable, which is really important, because if people can't find you on the first page of Google search, they're not going to look for you anymore. You have to land on the first page of Google. You know, we always say that every search result page, organic search results, there are 10 on every single page of a Google search, and people will only look at the first page of a Google search. So let's talk today about what's a domain and how you can choose that domain name, how you can register that domain name with Google domains. So now, while I'm talking about Google names, I am not a salesperson. I'm not selling Google to you. I know that 98% of the world goes to Google first when they want to know, go do or buy. And that's why I am such a fan and out here talking to small businesses, because I know that if you understand Google search, you have a great ability to showcase your business, and it helps tremendously with growth. But if you don't understand how search works, you are really behind the 8 ball and could be a long time and run out of cash flow before you have the opportunity to even do business with somebody. So today, while I'm talking about Google domains, understand this applies to any registrar you use. GoDaddy, cheap domain registration, anything else, it all applies there. I'm just utilizing Google domains since I'm speaking for Google, and that's exactly the tool that I'm very familiar with, but I know the others too. After 20+ years, I know a lot of domain site registrars. We all talk about how you can build a website with Google Sites, how you can set up your email. And the reason I love websites with Google Sites is everything, 100% everything other than registering your domain name. So I should say everything else here. Right, so that's what, about 90%. Everything that I'm talking about is 100% free. And when you register your domain name, there's a cost, be it to Google or to any other registrar. There is a cost for that, an annual cost. I'll talk about that as we go through that. But do know that building a site, a free website, you can use Google Sites for free websites. And I love that, especially when you're still coming up with proof of concept of your business, or you're still working on cash flow. And sometimes we have so many more expenses when we're launching a business compared to when we're already there getting that good steady cash flow. So it's kind of nice to be able to control those expenses, stop that leakage, and still build your business, giving yourself great opportunity to grow. Okay, so what's in a domain name? Can you use Google Sites for e-commerce? It depends, Talani, how much e-commerce you actually do. So if you're selling 5 or 6 things, yes, you can use Google Sites for that. But now let's say you're getting into an e-commerce where you have 100 SKUs, so 100 different items or 100 variations, a blue scarf, a red scarf, a black scarf, a white scarf. If you have all of those different SKUs, then it cannot do that kind of heavy lifting, and it will be a lot of manual work for you to try to keep up with inventory and try to decide and look and see what tools are actually working and putting the tracking that you need in, which helps us make good marketing decisions, because if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. So do understand it does have it, but there are limitations. Again, this is to get you started, and you can still use it depending if you want to position your website as a brand expert or a professional, or you want an employer website, so you're doing an employer kind of brand, you're really selling the company culture, and you want people to be able to apply and know about job openings there. It does serve a great purpose there and can be a long-term website for that forever. So let's dive into that a little bit more. So what's a domain name? This is how people find you. Remember what I said, this is your street address, and this is when people can come to your website. That is your website URL. Unique, so that's your unique link right there with your URL, but that is your website address. So a domain name is truly that location, again, where you're at. It's your address. It also could be your store name. You want to think about the way people search and really understand that. It's important for us to be experts in our customers, because when we can articulate what they need, the problems that they have better than they can, they see us as the person or the business that can actually solve that too. So we're the solution provider too. When we can articulate that better than what they are, you know, they've got a fog in their mind and they know they need something. You can assist them with that. But it's important for you to know what words they use and how they search. That's why it's important for us to do all the heavy lifting and the work at the front end in understanding what domain name would work best. So when you think about what domain name to use, we do have to understand, how do people search? What are they looking for? It just kills me when I talk to businesses, like I was working with a dental group, a whole bunch of dentists actually, it was an association. And they thought that people were looking for pediatric dentists, but they didn't realize that people were actually searching for, who can straighten my kiddo's teeth? Does anybody have a recommendation about somebody who can do braces? Are braces plastic or metal anymore? What is the decision I need to make for my child? They were not looking and using the words pediatric dentist. Pediatric dentists knew those words because that's their industry, and we become so close to our industry language that we think everybody uses that. But it's important for us to take a step back and truly understand who that best customer is, what they need. And in fact, I encourage you to really take even one step back from when they're in the looking zone trying to solve a problem or an issue or have a need, What do they look like beforehand? If I'm working with real estate agents, this is a conversation that I have right at the get-go, saying, what do people look for right away? What are they going through in life? Are they having a baby? Are they going through a divorce? Are they transitioning jobs? Maybe they have a 16-year-old, they just got them into and started as a junior in high school, and now they're thinking about, you know what, I'm going to be an empty nester in a couple of years. So that could be a perfect prospect for you, because they're along that path in their decision journey that they will eventually need you. But if you can position yourself prior to that and find them when they're looking for information that they need to be able to help them through that path, you truly have the opportunity to position yourself as an expert. Of course, we have here brand building. That could be that you want to have a good domain that really has that brand, and brand consistency builds trust, and people do business with people they know, like, and trust. That trust building online has to do with brand building and consistency of a brand across all different platforms and tools. How professional also it is when you have a domain name that's your domain name. It's very professional. You're seen as solid and serious about your business. And then access to tools, because when you're using an actual domain name, you have far more access to tools than you have available even just by doing a Facebook business site or an Instagram profile, okay? So as we talk about choosing a domain name, the thing is to not have to be perfect. And that's hard for those of us that are kind of perfectionists in the room, because we're looking for that perfect name. But unfortunately, some people already have that perfect name and it doesn't work out. So now you have to make some decisions on what people use and can you get close to that. An average domain is better, though, than you being stuck to an analysis to the state of paralysis part, trying to find that perfect name. So remember to keep it short and simple. Our attention spans are, they're wild, and we've got to think short and simple so that it'll stay hooked in our mind. We need to use keywords and brand names that they feel comfortable with, and consider alternate domain names. So my name is Maria Elena Duron. Do you know how many times I've been called Marie or Mari or Mary? And then Elena, don't even try to spell that, because people come up with all sorts of things. And then Duron, I've been D-U-R-O-N, D-U-R-A-N, and it's actually D-U-R-O-N, but I've also had it come up so many different things, and I wonder, from 5 letters, how many people can come up with that many syllables. But think about that for a moment. How can you make it easy for people to find you? So one of the domain names I use a lot is Maria Speaks. That's it, Maria, M-A-R-I-A, and I hope that they remember that, speaks.com. Another one that I use is mariacoaches.com. So I don't use Maria Elena Duron, although I own it because I want to make sure that I own my reputation online, but still, and make it easy for people to find me if they're even just looking my name and they happen to copy and paste my exact name. But most of the time you're going from people's memories. So think about how you can make it easier. What is it that people are searching for? I was laughing because Stacia, who's actually the person who put this together about Stacia's Bakery, we use her as an example quite a bit. She actually owns the website URL happyeggs.com because she loves to raise chickens. And how many people have actually approached her in businesses that want to actually own that is amazing, and she's not interested in selling that. Just like I own people-to-people.com. I actually own that, but it's TO. So you'll see people use people2 people.com or people_TO_people.com. So they'll get close. How can you get close? In Stacia's example, she actually knows a company that is the Happy Egg Company, and they actually have happyeggs.co. So you can also use a lot of different URLs, even though we're all very used to, and there's a lot of people who are very commonly use .com, you can still have .net. You can have hundreds of them, in fact, because while this all first started, when the .com first started, we had about 22 come out, and right now there are 300 different something. You could be .agency, .marketer, .info, .biz. There are so many that you can help really align your business and really brand yourself with that consistency. Think about the keywords. What do people use when they're searching for you? That's what I'm telling you when I say that you think about the words they use. Those are keywords, the words people use when they're searching. If you don't know what keywords are that people are using, then go to g.co/trends g.co/trends, that's Google Trends, and put your industry, your business name there, or even your competitors' names, and find out what words people are actively using to find those businesses. You can even get as granular as focusing on specifically Dallas or DFW. If you want to look at North Texas or Texas as a whole, you can do that to see what words they're searching. So you have an idea, not just from your head, but truly from information of what people are actually searching for. And then remember your brand name, because it's important for you to be consistent in that branding. We get bored with our own brand name, our messaging, our tagline, our photos, our logos before anybody even realizes they exist. So before they see it, we are bored with it because we're so close to it. So it's important for us to look at all of our properties, social, digital, everything across. Is everything consistent? Just like when we see those golden arches, there's a reason we recognize those from the freeway and what they mean. Now consider those alternatives, like I talked about, .zone, .academy, all of that to help you still with the brand, but then if somebody already owns the .com, you can go here. Now some businesses will decide not to do that because they don't want there to be any confusion, but don't think on that so long. Remember what we said, the goal is to get something there, not to be perfect about it, because while you're waiting and doing this, people are looking for your product, service, or your solution. So how do you register that domain name? Once you've brainstormed and come up with a few domain names, how can you register it? Well, I'm going to show you how you can register it in Google Domains. But remember what I said, I'm not a salesperson. So if you want to use another register, more power to you. I have done the same too before I was on the Google team. So what you can do here is if you go to Google Domains, you can actually go into Google Domains and register. What will happen is when you're in Google Domains, and you have this with a lot of registers, you have the ability to forward your domain, means you can point it somewhere else. So maybe like I do, I actually own mariaelenaduron.com, but I point it to my website, Maria Speaks, because when somebody's looking for Maria Elena Duron and they've got my name right, I want them to be able to find me. You also have security in the domain names. You'll find that there are two things that will prevent you from showing up in Google search. No matter how amazing you are in putting content out, no matter how professional you are with your SEO, your search engine optimization, and that just means that you're making the search engine see you. You're making sure you're easy and visible for the search engine to find you. And when it's easy to find you, it can deliver you in results to people that are looking for your product, service, or solution. But two things that need to happen on a site for that to even happen is it has to be secure. You have to have an HTTPS. So that S means it's a secure, confirmed site, and you get that security certificate through your host, be it Google Domains, GoDaddy, whoever you use, you do get that through them, and it already is included within your Google domain. So that's one of the things that I like, because I know that's basic. You have to have that. The second thing, by the way, is your site has to be mobile responsive. If people have to pinch and zoom or swipe side to side to read your actual site, then that means it's not mobile responsive, and there's nothing in the world you can do to show up in the first page of Google search, because you're penalized heavily for not having a secure site or one that's mobile responsive. It's also important for you to have a privacy feature to know that people are comfortable that their data is not being sold, because of course they need to know that you're keeping all their information protected. You also have great Google integration, and I love this. Let's stop here for a minute and talk about why this is important. Google's the #1 search engine in the world. The reason Google is #1 is because all the information people are searching for is mostly correct. And the reason why it's correct is because we go direct to the business people and the business owners and find out that information from you. When you integrate with all the other Google tools, so let's say you have a Google domain and a Google site and a Google business profile and Google Analytics and Google Search Console and Google Ads and YouTube, which by the way is the #2 search engine in the world and is also owned by Google. When all of those tools are connected together, those are pings confirming to Google that your business is a real, credible business. The information's correct, which means you show up higher in search. And then of course, you get nice, clear pricing. There's no muddling. It's very transparent what you're paying for and how much it's going to cost in Google Domains. So when you get started, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner here, I'll move that little red dot out of the way so you can take a screenshot. Remember, in 24 hours, you'll get a copy of today's slides if you've commented in the question box. So that's the only requirement. You'll get a copy, but it'll be 24 hours. So you'll get a copy of this plus the recording. But you can go here if you want to screenshot that already to go check out and play with Google Domains. You'll go to domains.google, and that's where you can get started and start putting in names to get an idea of what's happening. Now, what I love, and you don't even have to get domains through them, is if you'll go to this URL right here, you can use the search insights, which will give you some ideas on what are some things that you could change in that URL to make it yours, because maybe somebody already owns that unique URL. But you can say, hey, the name is too long. This is a name with popularending.com, so that works really well. You'll get all of that up front, and there's no cost for that. So again, the URL is right here, domains.google. And at the very least, I encourage people to sign up just for this, because there's no cost at all. You get it with a free personal Gmail or free Google account, so you don't have to have a workspace account or nothing paid for. And then you can go here and test out this URL. Do you need a domain if you don't have a website? No, you don't have to, Tiara, but I actually did have a domain name before the website because I wanted to own my online presence. So back in 2008, and I am the mom of 3 boys, I saw exactly what was happening and how much of the world had shifted online. If you remember, everybody freaked out in 2000 at Y2K, and we never thought we would be where we're at now and have all of these handy devices, which are as powerful or more powerful than a computer of those days. But we all switched online. So even though I don't have a website for any of the boys, even back in 2008, I bought all of their names.com. So I have mariaelenaduron.com, .net, I think .biz maybe, but I also have Maria Elena, mariaduron.com, .net, Maria Elena, or Maria Duron, and then I have all the boys, Jason, Justin, and Joshua. They all have their .coms and their .nets, because I understand how search works, that even if they don't have a website, if somebody is looking for them and you want to control your online reputation and their personal branding, you know, they've all become digital artists and really sculptors, and so they want to have their name out there, they have that, and they don't have to worry about competing with anybody, because when you actually own your name, it's a very powerful position to be online. So to answer your question, Tiara, you do not have to, but it can help you get that. Can you explain how you don't need a website to establish a professional email address? Yes, so what you can do is once you have a URL, and then what you can do is you can create a an email address from that. So once you have the domain name, you can create a professional email address, and we'll actually step through that in the other slides coming up, Stephanie. But then you can set that up, and you don't even have to have a website, but still people can get to me like at maria@mariaspeaks.com. Okay, and they don't even, I don't have to have a website to even use that. The same thing, my boys do that, and they don't have websites, so they put in their name, you know, me@justinduron.com. Okay, so I'll show you that in just a few minutes. Great questions, everybody. I'm glad, I love everybody using that question box because it helps me customize what I'm doing here. So when you get started here, you can then add the domain name to the shopping cart. You're going to do that into any register. You'll actually see what that costs. So $12 for a year. That's about average. I work with some registers that charge you $8.95 for a year. Sometimes it's though $8.95, and then it's $1.95 a year to put the security on top of it. So it all comes out to something close to this. And you can also turn on that privacy protection, so it's not showing that you're the owner of that site if you don't want it to be, or that URL or domain name. And then you can also auto renew that, so you'll never have to worry about losing it. Then once you check all that information, make sure it's all good, that's when you would buy. The same thing in any register. Now, what's nice about that is if you are using another register, you can transfer your domain name to Google Domains if that's what you want to do, because you want the privacy. You see that they're charging you left and right and kind of nickel and diming you to death. You can make that choice to do that. Or maybe you just want to link all the Google tools. You believe in the strength that comes from that confirmation, and so you want to do that too. Now, what to do if your domain name's already taken? I think I've covered that, and how you can brainstorm and use the insights in Google Domains to give you some other opportunities there to start fresh. But sometimes it just means stepping away and thinking, I need to think about this. So one of the things that you can do, remember what I said, knowledge is not powerful until it's applied. So one of the applications you can do is actually search for a domain name. And I highly encourage you to do that. When you get a copy of today's slides, use this as your checklist to go through and actually apply what all you've learned here today. And then you can use the video to slow me down and speed me up, or have me repeat anything that you need. So when we're building a website in Google Sites, and again, I'm going to start with websites, but we'll get to the email, Stephanie. So I'm on that trajectory there. Google Sites is 100% free. I love this tool. It is so amazing. Most people don't know it's free, and I love to use it over and over again because it really helps businesses truly vet their business, get that online presence, and already capture people's interest and really position themselves, but then it doesn't cost any money. So it's nice, even proof of concept of your business or idea. Plus, it's got all of this already built in, the security and the mobile responsiveness. You don't have to worry about being an expert in that. So when you click website in the left navigation there, you can actually come and see that from Google Domains. Now, let's say you don't have Google Domains. You just have a free Google account, a free Gmail account. Let me show you how to do this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a live demo up here. Hold on just a second while I make it a little bit bigger because I'm broadcasting. This is what I love to do, is do live demos so you can actually see. So when I go to Google Sites, let's say you're in your Gmail account, go up here to what's known as the app keypad, or the app waffle, like we trainers lovingly call it. If you'll click there, you will see Google Sites. You see that? That's Google Sites. So if you click on it, let's just say I was in my Gmail account. I don't have that up because I don't want you seeing all my email in my Gmail. I don't want you looking at me going, why haven't you read all your email yet? I'm terrible about it, I know. But you can click here and it will open up this tab from your Google account, from your free Gmail account, from Google Calendar. I mean, you just use the Google apps to navigate all of the different free Google apps. You will see that you have Google Sites available here. And if you click on the template gallery, then you have all these free templates that you can customize. You can have somebody code it for you if you want. You can even bring in your own personal code if somebody designed it for you, like I could put that here and I could submit a template here. But right now, this is what's available to you. And let me show you what that looks like. So I did one here. A pretend site. Bring this up in the other tab. And all I did is use the dog walking template, and you'll see you have the ability to customize it, put text in, you can change out the photo, you can change the images here, like I said, or the theme, the different color. Maybe I don't want it to be like that. Maybe I want it to look like vision like this, so I change it a little bit, or maybe this level. So I change it a little bit and I want this color, but maybe I prefer this color instead. So you can do all of that. I love that it's very much plug and play and click, and it starts there right away. It's just like typing into any document. And then I can publish it when I'm ready. I can add pages as I need to. So you'll see that happening. And let me show you another one. Like, let me see, I did this one. Not that I'm a professional stylist, but if I wanted to, I could use this one, which was a salon and wardrobe base. And I could say, you know, I could customize here, showing up with ease and confidence, your secret weapon. I could put all of this here, and then I could start customizing it. So you see, this is just gibberish right now here at this bottom area, holding space here, but I can customize and type whatever I want to and decide if I want that text different, or if I want to include a table of contents, or maybe I want it to look more like this. Okay, so I want to organize this a little bit differently and put this content block in there. Now let me see, I do see a question here. Can you explain how you don't need a website? Oh, okay, I already saw that. Sorry, Stephanie, I was wondering if I thought I saw a new comment there. All right, so this is Google Sites. And again, that's 100% free. A lot of businesses will even use it to host their human resource manual, or their, this is the onboarding with the company, because it makes it nice and easy to find online. But still, if you have the Google site regular URL, so you see this by default, let me show you that domain name. See, so this domain name, if I publish it, will look like this, sites.com teamkill. I mean, it's so long. So for people to be able to find it, I would actually have to give them the link, unless I had, for example, that URL, that domain name I wanted, and I pointed it to this site. So again, when I point the domain, a domain forward, then they might go to poopertroopers.com and they'll come right here. Even though this is a Google domain, it looks very professional and easy for them to remember and find than that long domain name. All right. So when you're in Google Domains, you can already do this within Google Domains. You can go to the left-hand side, navigate there, click on website. You click on website and it'll walk you through. It's pretty intuitive. And as I showed you, when you're in Google Sites, you have all of these templates available to you. All you would need to do is click on the template. It doesn't change the template gallery, but you'll see the little saving ball come on. It's rotating there, and what it's doing is drawing it into your Google account and saving it to your Google Drive, which is where we save everything in Google. Google Drive is the free 15 gig storage that you have to be able to use and save anything that you want, even if you don't have a program associated with it. But it actually automatically pulls it from your sites that you're creating and saves it to your Google domain. So it doesn't change the template gallery, it brings it in. So now you can start customizing it. You see how Stacya's done that. She's added, she's deleted pages. It's that same backside that I was showing you in a live demo a moment ago, but you can also add files, videos, and so much more, which is really important in the credibility of your site. Now, once you're ready to publish the site, you see that come up like I showed you a moment ago with the Pooper Troopers dog walkers. You'll see it's long, but then I can manage it, and I can also manage who can view the site. If I want it to be for anyone, or if I'm using this for, let's say, an onboarding document for a company, an onboarding site, I could do that too and make it just visible to people who have that email, the KLI brand or that bluecube.com, who have that, or the poopertroopers.com site URL in their email address, okay? What's nice here is for your website, this is really important for you to understand, because if your website's not goal-oriented, then it makes it a terrible user experience. They're trying to figure out what you're saying and you look like a hot mess. So what is the goal of your website first? Is it to build your business, excuse me? Is it to build your business brand? Is it to sell things? Is it to get people to watch videos to really help them and service them and consult them? Is it to help gather leads? Is it to encourage people to make phone calls? What is the purpose of your site? Whatever that is, it needs to be organized for that purpose and useful, because if it's not useful, if it's not a good user experience, Google will not show you on the first page of search. That is key to a Google experience. It has to be useful. That's why you see a lot of people talking about pop-ups and saying that, you know, pop-ups are what's known as, you know, something that makes the destination goal where people want to go when your website, it makes it not friendly. And when it's not friendly like that, Google won't show it in the first page of search. So it's important for you to make sure your site is friendly and it's doing everything that you want it to do for the person who's looking for your information or wanting to find that site. It needs to be really intuitive, and then of course the search engine needs to be able to see it, because if the search engine doesn't see it, it can't show you up in results when people are searching. So one of the things you can do to apply the knowledge we learned today is go and start a free Google site. It's free, so just try it, play with it, become familiar with it. You'll find it's really easy to build and to customize, which is what I like, to be able to help you get that step further with your business online. Now, I know everybody's been waiting for this, but I do want to see if there's any questions over the sections that I've just covered. So let me know in the question box if you have any questions about that. And let's go ahead and dive into the setup email for your business. And remember, if you want a copy of today's slides and recording that'll show up in 24 hours, make sure you comment in that question box. So how you can set up your email forwarding. So what you can do with Google Domains is you can set up forwarding, which means that if, let's say your domain name is Stacya's Bakery. You're Stacya at Stacya's Bakery. Now remember, her real Google account address is stacyasbakery423@gmail.com. But it's not showing that to the public. They're just seeing Stacya at Stacya's Bakery, and it's forwarding to that email. That's stacyasbakery423@gmail. It just looks like it is that email address. Now, what happens a lot of times though with the forwarding is that you are only allowed 100 aliases right here, if you'll see that. So you can send, it could be help@stacyasbakery.com, info@stacyasbakery, Marsha at Stacya's Bakery, Stephanie at Stacya's Bakery. It could be all of that, up to 100 of those. Now, the only concern with using this in this format is that sometimes people are challenged with how to reply using that good URL, because it's only forwarding to stacyasbakery423@gmail.com. So when she replies to that email, it'll be stacyasbakery423@gmail.com that will be forwarding. Remember, this is just forwarding into that actual address, but it looks very professional as people are sending, or that you could put on a nice business card to do that. So you're going to add an email alias is what you do, that email that you're actually going to send to. So this is sales@Stacia. So it's like sales@statiasbakery.com, or it could be Stacia. But again, this is sales@statiasbakery.net. Actually, sorry, it's a .net. And it is an existing recipient. So again, it's sending it to Statia's Bake at gmail.com, let's just say, or statiasbakery423@gmail.com. I hope that's not too confusing. But what that means, it's being forwarded to this email. People, it's masking so people don't see that email. They only see sales@statiasbakery.net. So it looks very professional when they email you. The challenge comes when you reply, because it's only being forwarded. So you do have to do quite a few things for the reply to show that. So that's why I'm a big fan of Google Workspace. Google Workspace actually means you have access to all of these Google tools, but I am not tech support at all, much as my parents who hope that I am. Whenever I drive up, I'm not. And that's why I like this, because I don't have to worry about any tech side of this. Once I have a Google Workspace account, that it means that whenever email is sent to sales@statiasbakery.net, I can reply from sales@statiasbakery.net. And in their inbox, they see from sales@statiasbakery.net. Okay, so you can find out more about that by going here to Workspace. But those are two things that you can do. You can put it on a business card that looks really, really professional, but do know when you reply, a lot of times until you do something differently, and it does take a little bit of back and forth with you between your actual host and the name, then all of a sudden now you're going to go into Google Domains and you're going to be replying from statiasbakery423@gmail.com. But if you want this for a nice reply to be that reply to, then you're going to go to sales@statiasbakery.net. You're going to use Google Workspace. They're going to send it to you at that email address, and you will reply back with that email address. Does that make sense to everybody? Because I know that was quite a bit. But when you have your professional email in play, what I love here is when you're sharing a document together, it's showing your actual statiasbakery.net. If you had a forwarded email address, it would look like statiasbakery423@gmail.com. It would not be masked for that, because you're not forwarding the email. It only forwards emails to that account. So you can get email to when people are sending it to Stacia@statiasbakery.net. You just can't reply. You can't make comments here on when you're using Google Calendar. When people are wanting to send you calendar invites, it's going to show that you are statiasbakery423@gmail.com. So if you want it to show like Stacia@statiasbakery.net, what will happen is you do have to have a Workspace account, okay? But you can have that for just one person, so you don't have to have it for a large group unless you want to. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, I have covered quite a bit here, and that's a lot when we talk about the email address in action. So let me know what questions that you have, because I would like to help you be able to do whatever you need to, be it forward your email or to be able to do this, where you have a very professional email that people can send to and that you can reply from. As you're coming up with your questions, I do want to give you a key takeaway from today, and this is a nice checklist if you want to screenshot this, of what you can apply right away. So some of the things you can do is think of that domain name, do some research on that, register that domain name, even with Google Domains or any other register that you prefer. You can build a website, test it out. I'm a big fan of just getting in there and trying and testing something out. You can also create a professional email address using domains to forward, or you can go to g.co/workspace, which will actually walk you through how you can get a domain or a email address that has that professional domain that people can send to and you can reply from. Make sense? Now, one of the things that as you're building out your website, if you decide that you're doing this more for than an email, more for just an email, but you also want a website, remember what I said about the search engine seeing you. Understand that Google is not the World Wide Web. Google is the #1 library of the World Wide Web. And because of that, you are responsible as the domain owner, as the owner of the website, to enter your domain, your book per se, in that library known as Google. And this is the door to the library. Now I see a lot of people post things up on their website and they just hope Googlebot's going to find them. And the problem is it can take up to 90 days for Googlebot to find you. Who has that kind of time, energy, and money? We have to make money. Cash flow is king for a small business. And so I like to make sure it is seen right away, the day I publish it. And the reason I do that is I'm able to put that book into the library and tell Google, hey, this is my site, take a look at this. I can also tell when people don't do that, because they'll say things like, I don't know why it keeps showing this about my site, or I don't know why this doesn't show up in search. They're not controlling it, which you have total control, and this is 100% free. You also have the ability to see how people behave on your website to see if that makes sense. I was meeting with a group just this morning, explaining to them, say, if you look and see, people are leaving your website and going to your competitors. So what's on this actual page that you can change to keep people on your site, to entice them to read more, to learn more? You can learn how people actually behave on your site by going and installing Google Analytics, which is 100% free. You just connect it to your site. And truly what this does is tells you what people do on your site. It measures and it lets you know. You know, it's mostly women ages 25 to 40 who are shopping at 2:10 in the morning. They own a dog, they have 2 small children, and they went to college. They also bought a Suburban within the last year. You have all of that information about your best customers through Google Analytics. It gives you a lot of insights. So this tells you how your site is actually performing online, how the search engine sees you, or whether or not the search engine sees you by you having it in the search engine library, the Google library, or this Google Analytics lets you know how people actually behave on your site and how you can meet their needs. Now you can do a lot more learning, not just here with the MWBE, but you can also find out more here. If you go to youtube.com, grow with Google, we always are putting up new content there that really is focused on what people are concerned about right now, or some of the issues or new things that are happening. There's also Google Career Certificates, which I love these, because do know that if you're a business that has an EIN number, that's all you need is an EIN number, then you can be scholarshiped into this. Google is giving scholarships away, 100 scholarships to every small business that has an EIN number, for they themselves, the owner, or their team to get these certificates, which is great because these are recognized by over 3,000 employers. Plus, it just puts a lot of credibility that you understand digital commerce, project management, even UX, user experience design, to know how people shop and actually use a website or spend time on a website and consume information. So again, this URL is right here at the bottom left-hand corner. Let me move that out of the way. If you want to screenshot that and take a deeper look, know that these scholarships are only available until 2023. You can take longer to finish up your certification, but they are only available for that limited time. So make sure you do apply, because it takes about 3 to 5 days. But once you have an EIN number, as long as you have that in place, you're good to go. You'll get the certificate. And then, of course, our Google.com Grow program, which is what I'm one of the trainers of. You are welcome to come here and look for any information that you need, be it teacher, small business, a job seeker, whatever you do. And if you want me to come back, just let Stephanie, let the MWBE, the Dallas ISD, Dallas Independent School District, MWBE, let them know, that department know that you'd love more, and I would love to come back. It has been truly a pleasure and honor to work with Dallas ISD, MWBE, because they are very much vested and interested in you succeeding. So much so that if you decide you want a Google domain and you'd like to save a little, because hey, I'm about small fee, free or small fee. So I'm free first or small fee. I love that first. That's always important to me as a bootstrap marketer. So I love this if you want to snap this to get a 20% discount on your domain. Again, I'm not a salesperson, but if you want it, I'm always happy to pass along free or savings to you. You can do that, and you can use that up till the end of this year. Okay. Now, there are some questions here, so I want to go to the questions. And I want to again thank Dallas ISD MWBE department. But let me go to the questions. As I go to the questions, I'm going to stop the recording, because the questions are